Hey there, boys, girls, and flying squirrels. My name's Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. Before we jump into the episode, there's one thing I need to ask of you. If you could please rate and review the podcast on iTunes, it's how more people can find us and doesn't take too much of your time. And if you like what you heard, suggest us to your friends. For this episode, I met up with Austin Durry, Austin Wilder, and Cassandra Valentine, 3 of the 5 members of the cinematic alt-rock band Marah in the Mainsail. We sat down together at Annalace Coffee in Northeast Minneapolis ahead of their big show at the Turf Club on Saturday, November 24th. Durry, Wilder, and Valentine were super gracious and forthcoming when we talked about the beginning of the band, their decision to go completely independent, and the world they are crafting with their music. Their 2017 record, Bone Crown, is one of my favorite releases from last year. Here is my interview with Austin Durry, Austin Wilder, and Cassandra Valentine right here on the Ear Coffee Podcast. Let's start out with some introductions, what you guys do within the band of Marah in the Mainsail.
So I'm Durry, and I sing and play guitar.
Wilder. I play auxiliary drums, and I'm learning the bass guitar currently.
Playing bass currently.
Play bass
Yes,
currently.
it's official.
It's official.
Huh.
I'm Cassandra. I sing and I did play the bass, and now I play the keys, and I don't know, I just play anything.
So you did, you were in the band for before, and then you left and came
Yes,
back?
I was the accordion player,
Okay.
and I left for a year, and then I came back on the bass, and now I'm back again on the keys.
See, first I was
On
like,
bass.
you should learn accordion. And she's like, okay, I'll learn accordion. And I was like, you should learn bass. And I'm like, okay, you should learn regular, keys.
So then, because you had another bassist, another Austin in
Yes.
the band. Is he no longer with the band, or is he just? I saw in the
He's
in
no
your,
longer with us.
I saw in the last vlog you put out. He was tracking with you guys.
Yeah, so I mean, he is, but isn't in the band. He's still in our souls.
I gotcha.
But he just couldn't do the touring and stuff. So we're we're still send
with
him
us.
all of our songs, and he's recording with us, all this kind of stuff. So it's we're just kind of.
He's our bass guy from afar.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, check this
Our
part out.
studio
Studio bass,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Can I get a little history of the band? I know it's been kind of chronicled in previous interviews, so I don't want to dig into it too much. But Marah in the Mainsail, I'm pronouncing that right, correct?
Yep,
yes.
you got it.
That started. You had a hardcore band that broke up.
Sort of. I had early high school. Let's make music, and it was a little bit heavy emo kind of stuff. Whatever. We played 1 show, 2 shows maybe. Little crappy things, whatever. Played inside of a Hot Topic. So
That's pretty cool.
No, it wasn't. And that kind of fell apart just because it always does.
Yeah.
And then and that's when I met Wilder, and I was like, I play drums, I play guitar, let's do it. And then here we are.
Yeah, we didn't really know what genre we were when we started either.
Yeah.
Just we were both in that weird transition phase of are we hardcore emo? What is this? And we settled on folk for some reason.
We never settled on folk. We accent.
For a little while, we settled it.
Is it punk grass or
Yeah,
folkcore or whatever?
folklore,
Some of those
exactly.
Bandcamp tags on there.
Yeah.
So then, because initially you were folkier in general, so how has that lineup? Because you changed lineups kind of with each release you put out. Has the lineup affected the music you created, or has the sound you've gone for affected the lineup? Because accordions and banjos and stuff like that.
I guess I'd say, we've never kicked anybody out,
But no.
but I would say that I think the sound affects our instrumentation. Like what we're talking about now is kind of we need these instruments. Let's learn them. You know what I mean? And we added a horn player because I was like, that's where we're going. Our banjo player left. We didn't replace him. It was just kind of the evolution of the sound and everything with all the members and stuff like that. So
We also have a really good dynamic as a group. So people who bring stuff to the music during the writing process, during the performing process, if they're playing a certain instrument, it changes the sound and whatnot. So as people move and transition from the band and we get new members, that changes our sound because they're bringing a new musical inspiration to the feel and the vibe for it.
Okay, so have you been in the band constantly?
Almost.
Okay.
I've been the longest. Durry and I started it ages ago.
Yeah.
But I did take a year off, like
Okay.
Sandra did. I was going to school for a while.
Yeah.
And then I was like, nope, I need to do music for a living.
That
so
okay.
I rejoined for that.
I was creeping through old photos all last night, and I was just like trying to figure out who the timeline myself.
We're still trying to
Yeah. Fair. You guys are very stylized on stage as well as sonically. Like when it comes to presentation, like I think of is it a character you would say portray on stage or Wilder? Like I just when I was like, well, is he gonna show up with the chains and the top hat? Like, how important is that image on stage to you guys? Is that something you just from the beginning really wanted, or was that something you grew into as you evolved?
You just took the bike, but I feel like this is your
This is my question, man. I think it's very important. For me, the performance piece is the most important. So while the quality of music is like a huge piece of that, for me it's like the show and what catches your eye, what makes people interested, and also it's the most fun for me. So being able to like be this persona in the performance and create a show that's very visual and very storytelling is extremely important for the success of the band.
Yeah, I remember like early on, we would play with all these bands, and it was like, and I just remember being like, they can have their own sounds and stuff, but they all like look the same, and I felt like I couldn't remember them. And so that was kind of initially it was like, okay, we're all going to dress this way, and like we're all going to act like this or whatever. And that's kind of the start of the whole like on stage, persona, I guess.
Yeah, I think we tried hard early on for that. So we like went and said like, what is our look going to be? And we like sat down and had conversations about our style and what kind of image we want to present. So it wasn't necessarily an accident.
Yeah, I really like My Chemical Romance. They did a really great job at every album had a look, and their stage had a look, and their costumes had a look, and all that kind of stuff. And so I always wanted our look to evolve with every album. To kind of be like, you can look at photos and be like, we know what period this is because of how
like
they look.
the suspenders and
exactly.
like that, or kind of like that. Bone Crown was put out a little over a year ago, and that record was very much a shift in your guys' writing. You went from portraying characters from a first person to a third person narration. Was that a natural progression, or was that something you guys wanted to do moving forward, or how was that shift?
I feel like the earlier stuff before Bone Crown was it was almost like sort of like accidental concept albums. It was like I would get really stuck in like, this is the kind of thing I want to write about, and then I would write it, and I was like, oh, they all go together, cool, and like story. And Bone Crown was much more like, I'm gonna make this story from the top, and that kind of came very naturally at that point. And then also just pairing that with like a written, like finalized, real written version of the story just lent itself well to having to be like third person, like here's the story. Whereas before it was kind of more I don't know, like anecdotal, I guess. That's the right word, but so I'd agree.
Were all of you involved in writing of Bone Crown, or where do you fit into that record? Were you part of that process, or did you join after that was all said and done?
Well, it's funny because Bone Crown, like the seeds of Bone Crown started like so long ago.
Yeah.
Like we started playing
Before
Foxhole
Foxhole
like
was-
back in 2012.
Yeah.
Like so there are aspects of that album that existed like way before Bone Crown existed. And so I think I was definitely a part of shaping those things, but the actual record I am not on at all. I was not a part of it all.
Okay.
So that was in the window where I was gone. So it's like one of those weird things where it's not mine, but like I feel like my soul is in it a little bit.
Your influence is there. Yeah, that's
In
okay.
little pieces.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys write collaboratively, or is it mainly just one person does the basic and then everybody adds their touches, or how does that work? Especially such a big band.
Yeah, usually I come in with the lyrics and kind of the like vibe that I want, and chords and stuff like that. and then we really kind of massage out all the parts of the individual pieces, all kind of around the skeleton that I put in.
Okay. So in June, you made the big leap to take the band full time, and that's when you announced you rejoined the band. What was that conversation like going up to it? How can it give me the window into that full decision to go, this is what we're going to do now? So I feel like that wasn't an easy conversation to have.
Not an easy conversation, no. That was a really scary time for most people in the band here. A lot of us quit our jobs, our full-time jobs. We were all wondering, is this actually going to make money? How do we do this full-time? At that point, we were looking into our Patreon, which became a thing. So a way to get consistent income. But those conversations were super scary for all of us because you had to be like, are you in this 100%? Are you in this 100%? And we kind of had to be really vulnerable with each other to kind of commit to that. It was a lot like, do you want to be in a relationship with me for the next 10 years? So, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
What were you guys doing as full-time jobs prior to Marah, if you don't mind my asking? Because that's always interesting to me what musicians do as their full-time gig to pay the bills.
I was working at a coffee shop.
Oh.
And then, but I was kind of already pretty much full time.
Yeah.
Marah. It was worked a couple hours in a coffee shop a week. That was it.
Yeah, Durry was the most ready. He was the first one to be like, this is my life now. Whoever's ready to join, let's go. I'm just working this coffee shop and ready when everyone else is. I was working financial counseling in Minneapolis for an online school. So a nice cubicle and desk job, and then every once in a while we'd have a tour, and I'd take a week off and we'd go travel, and it was now I'm living my life, and then I'd go back to my desk job, and it was just not working out. Didn't allow me to do as much tours and shows, and the flexibility wasn't there. So I made the decision to leave that kind of income for my passions.
Yeah, I mean, I had already kind of, similar to Durry, set up my life to do music full time, and so I have avoided for my adult life getting a real job, and my goal is to never have to get a real job.
Fair.
But yeah, the year I was gone from the band, I was in school for music full time, and then. Yeah, I mean, I also do some of my own music, and I also do some other creative stuff like photography on the side. But from the beginning, my setup has always been to do music full time. So, yeah.
How important is Patreon to the lifeblood of the band?
It's been really cool and really, important for us. I think it's really easy to lose steam and lose motivation, and there's something really, really good about having this group of people that they're waiting for you to do something,
Yeah.
So I for me personally, I feel like I have to wake up every day and earn it. You know what I mean? And that's been really good on just workflow level, and then financially it's huge too, because it's just it's a way for us to have consistent income and be having the savings every month, we can build up and get the things we need and record record and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been very good.
What's the kind of release content? Because from what I could tell, you do put 2 posts a month or more.
Try to do 3 posts a month.
3 posts. You do a whole bunch of things. You have the vlogs that you shoot, right, Wilder? Yep. And then you have the anthology storyline.
Yep.
And then actually the anthology was the big thing I was interested in. Is that, do you take stories from the records and turn them into full, flesh them out, or how does that work?
So every record, I've always I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it shows. But I've always with each album I've had this story put together of just what each scene looks like, basically, just in my head, and I was I just felt like it was time to lay it out there, and I'm kind of trying to catch up. With Bone Crown, it was really nice because the story came with it, and I worked really hard on that, and it was just a good package. And I wanted to catch up with our past releases with Devil Weeds and Thaumatrope, and just kind of chronicle all that, so that because it's all it's all going to be one big story that all ties together all the albums. So so I want to just kind of get all that super solid. You know, every month releasing more of each chapter relates to a song, and we can listen to the song and figure it out and all that kind of stuff. So
What part are you at in the Marah mythology with the anthology?
Yeah, so we are. I think we have like 2 more chapters of Devil Weeds left, and then after that we'll move on to Thaumatrope, and then Thaumatrope is 10 tracks, so that'll take a while to get through, and then after that we'll be caught up, and I'm hoping that that'll be right about the time that we're like have this new record ready to go, and then we'll be able to release that with the story and everything, and kind of have this really good flow of whole thing together. So
it's one thing that I think people under-recognize about Durry's writing. When you look at the anthology and you're reading through the stories, when he brings these skeleton songs to us and says, here's the story I want to tell, it's really cool, it ties in all these ways, we get to hear him explain it to us. And then we write the song, and it's very lyrical and visual, and you've got all the music elements. And if you're not like looking really closely at the lyrics of the song, you may not notice there's like all of these like things that tie back to previous albums and these stories that grow over time. So the anthology is a really good way for people who are just like, oh, this is a cool band. Like, what's the story? To like read into that and get really into it.
And I feel it provides just another level to you guys, because you guys present yourself like almost like a theatrical performance without being like a high concept art piece or something. Like
we're a low concept
but it adds something more than just what you present on stage.
Well, that's one thing. Like I really wanted to make a musical experience that's like that. Like there's lore behind it. You know, like I'm into all kinds of nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
And like there's card games, and there's all this lore behind it, and then you look at a pop song and it's like that's what it is. Like it's just there. There's nothing deeper to go into it. So so I just wanted there to be like backstory for every song.
It reminds me a lot of my roommate, who is super into Dungeons and Dragons, and so the story he just created, he's recreating, he's turning into some sort of book just because he's bored. It just kind of reminds me of something like that. In mid-July, you guys posted.
I was just gonna say we should make a
Marah D&D. Yeah, I literally was just like,
that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Okay, anyway.
No, you're good. In mid-July, you posted a photo of the band. You guys kind of looked dejected, just with the flag "Don't Give Up the Ship" in the background. Was there like this moment where it just all kind of hit? What you guys maybe did, like by going full time, and you guys went? Because you announced your full time. And then went on this tour, right?
A really bad tour.
Tell me about that tour.
It was just rough. I know.
highs and lows.
Yeah.
See the ocean for the first
Oh.
time.
Yeah. There were some good. It was like that tour was like, man, traveling is great. Seeing the world is great. Some of these shows kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was I think it was good. Like we took this jump and went, yeah, let's do it, and then it was like just kind of rough, like, oh, here it is, like you're not gonna make much money, like whatever, we're gonna hope for the best and keep going. But yeah, I feel like we all kind of came back, like encouraged after coming back from kind of a low, and I was kind of like being able to talk about it and express what's going on, and I felt like that was a good low point for us to like all kind of grow together and stuff.
Like Wilder said, like being in a band and making that leap is almost like being in a relationship. And I think like everyone taking that leap to do it full time brought all those emotions to the surface of like, this is stressful, this is scary, and like that was the catalyst to us being like, let's work through it, let's like actually make it work.
So did the tour kind of also tested your relationships as bandmates more than just like, well, is the band like, how is Prisoners?
Before there was like, before we made this decision to go full time, we had this kind of like vibe of like, we're all friends, we're doing this, we're trying to make it happen. And as soon as we were all like, all right, this is our life, we need to be earning money, we have all these like needs as a band, it really put strain on us as friends. To be like, oh, this is a business, like we need to be working hard all together, everyone has to be doing their work to get us to the next step. that kind of just changed the vibe all of a sudden for us. We didn't really know that was happening until we were in the middle of a tour, spending 6 hours a day in a van, and being like, hey man, like why aren't you doing this part? You know, can you help with this? And it just put a lot of tensions there. And it was great that we were on tour for that, because then we had all this time to like hash it out.
There's no space to run away and then decide you want to quit later. You know, it's just like no. Like,
we're doing it.
Cage match.
There's no escaping the van.
But I think it was really good for
Yeah,
us.
I think it was great.
And you've toured a couple of times since then, or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of those tour like vlogs on tour.
Yeah.
We've done little short ones,
Okay.
like a weekend here, and then we played a few shows here.
Okay.
A lot of the vlog content was the stuff I had saved up.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the most recent vlog, I think we posted that last week.
Yeah, a couple. Those Thursday night. Yeah.
And we did. So we've got some stuff we're working on here in Minneapolis that's providing some of that content as well.
Yeah, and like the recent post we did about like leaving the record label and stuff like that. That was like kind of already in motion early on.
Okay.
And so since then we haven't done a lot of touring just because we haven't really had the infrastructure to make it happen. So that's kind of what we're at now. Is like we're just putting ourselves out there and waiting for. We have a couple things that that we think are going to come through. And
Okay.
We'll be able to just like go all the time. So
Yeah, and leaving your record label, you would like you mentioned. You mentioned in the post you talked about booking was a big deal, or not a big deal, but was one of the driving factors. Yeah. Like what was kind of the thought process leaving Triumph? Like, are you trying to become more of like a self-sufficient, we do everything kind of thing, or is it?
Yeah, there's definitely I felt a lot of times like we're in the car for 8 hours with nothing to do, and it's like, why can't we just do it? Like, yeah, there's just a lot of.
T-Mobile.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so the last Triumph was really good for us early on. We were getting our feet wet and just starting to get going and stuff like that, and we just felt like we had kind of gone past that, and yeah, so we're getting other things together and trying to just like tour smarter,
Okay.
and be a little more intentional about how we go about things and how we go about promotion and stuff like that.
New markets, I think, is a big deal as well. Changing up like how you book is going to get you into different venues, no matter if it's a move up or down or sideways. It's just going to be, this is different. We're going to try it again, and that change can be really good for your performance.
Was part of it just your guys' shift in sound as well? Because I know, looking through Last Triumph's roster, a lot of it's like folk and more acoustic focused acts. Was that part of it too? I know before we started recording, you and I were talking about how you were not distancing yourself from the Devilweed era, but you weren't maybe acknowledging it as much.
Yeah. We were definitely, when we joined Last Triumph, we were definitely more folky, and then we were with them when we kind of made that bigger change. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's part about it. Like a lot of times we felt like the shows that were being booked were with the wrong bands. We were playing with folk bands. And it scared them when they leave. It's like, well, this is not the right place for us to play.
I was reading a review of one of your guys' show from that July tour where someone was like, they're talking about quiet, and then their first line was, well, Marah is much louder than everybody else. And I was like, well, that's fair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So part of it with the shift in booking, and kind of what we're trying to get is a little more into like a heavier scene, and we played a couple shows kind of accidentally with really heavy bills, and we always like feel great about it, and everyone there is like really into it.
What are some of the heavier bands you've played with?
So we played. There's this one show that stands out to me in Colorado. We got on this bill, and our other show dropped us, and we were like kind of last second, like hop on this bill with us, and we hopped on, and they were all like emo hardcore bands, and it was like we stuck out, but it was like in a good way. And we just like clicked with all the other bands, and everyone was just feeling good. We sold a ton of merch, met a ton of fans, and it was just like, this is what we should be doing.
There's The Void, and the one where it's like smashing glass or whatever.
Shatterproof?
Shatterproof, thank you.
This band called Shatterproof. And then while they were putting up their merch table, they dropped a glass display and it shattered. And it was.
Yeah, that was like as hard as we've gone.
Okay.
We're definitely not like a hardcore band. At all.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But that scene fits like the audience there. Like, so it sounded a lot better than the folk scene.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
I know this is kind of a lame question, but like, what is your guys' personal music tastes? Because it's it's always weird when you try to blend acoustic elements with, obviously, the heavier sound without. Sometimes it can come off a little cheesy, but not that you guys are, I'm not. But what are some of your guys' like personal music tastes?
Finger pointing
mixing
to
it
me.
up.
Gosh, that's a big question.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a lame question too to ask.
I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I think early on I probably brought some of like the lighter, folkier influences, just because I listened to a lot of like folky singer-songwriter kind of stuff. I'm definitely not as punk rock as these kids are. I mean, I don't know. It's funny because I listen to a lot of pop music too. Like I've been listening to nothing but like Dua Lipa and Ariana Grande for the last month. So like, I don't know if that says anything.
Our main influences are.
Yeah, obviously. So like, I don't know. I don't really know if that like plays into the style all the time. Maybe it does.
I feel like part of our style is dynamics. So I feel like your portion of our style is always like the low and soft. So those influences make sense for that corner.
That little bit of what Marah is.
This big picture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's my influence?
What's your influence?
Yeah, Sandra's got the light, like soft as.
You're like
singer-songwriter
this the sprinkled scariness on top. Yeah.
So that's the type of music I listen to.
Okay.
is the sprinkled
The scariness. Okay.
Came very much from a hardcore background.
Okay.
In like the metal and hardcore scene. And then found like the weird alternative stuff, you know, like Alt J when that movement happened.
Yeah.
Like weird indie stuff. That's way my jam. And Durry and I started like sharing music a lot when we first started the band.
I feel like a lot of our main influence bands are like all the same at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like come to this point where like we're an old married couple and we like have the same interests because we spend too much time together. Yeah. What's your
I take a lot of influence from different bands. Big fan of Murder by Death.
Okay,
Just played with them.
yeah.
It was insane. All my dreams are coming true. I really like the band Listener.
Okay.
They're like a pretty heavy like spoken word band.
Okay.
But their lyrics and storytelling and stuff are really influential for me. And then I also I'm into like I was into Brand New for a long time. As Murder, kind of those like so I feel like there's like the base layer of like whiny emo hardcore stuff that's like underneath, and then there's like Murder by Death is like the bulk of the sound. It's kind of like I don't know how to really describe it, but kind of Western inspired.
Yeah, the tremolo guitars. And
then there's also just the blanket influence of Listener's lyricism.
Gotcha.
don't forget the little sprinkled Western, spaghetti Western.
Oh yeah, a little bit of spaghetti Western right on top. Sprinkle some spaghetti on top.
A little spaghetti.
Sprinkled spaghetti. That's not a good picture.
You just got done recording a new single, Femme Fatale, and you described it as one of the most high energy songs you've ever written. And is this kind of is this forthcoming single going to set the tone or set the stage for the new record you guys are going to start working on?
Yeah, definitely. I always want our albums to kind of like stylistically start where the last one ended.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so this one is it's like a really punk rock like Western sound, very like Tarantino inspired.
Yeah.
But then like it kind of morphs into a little bit of like surf rock.
Okay.
And with like really like troubadour kind of horn parts and stuff like that. It's very much like it's like an action scene.
Okay.
Song, you know what I mean?
Where did Bone Crown end for you guys? That's how did Bone? If you guys could describe how Bone Crown ended, that you're picking up from.
Yeah. So Bone Crown's kind of this. It's all about this prophecy and then this big apocalyptic forest fire, and it's just like desolate and dead and everything is and just don't cry. That's like how it ends. And so this next one I feel like is kind of like the re-emergence of life from that. It's kind of there's more hope in this one. It's a lot higher energy. The dark stuff is going to be darker than ever.
Okay.
Light, but there's going to be happy sounding songs. There's going to be life in it too. And then and with our new whole theme and stuff, we're starting to integrate blues as well as the Reds to kind of introduce life. You know what I mean? So into the kind of the desolate red everything.
Because you do describe the new record, kind of the landscape of the new record, as a post-apocalyptic, which makes so much sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So the new stuff is kind of all about post-apocalyptic, but civilization coming back. So.
Have you been sitting on the songs for the new record for a while? Because, like Cassandra, you mentioned that Bone Crown was kind of started in 2012. Is the new record kind of starting?
Is it a little bit?
Okay.
And the new one, I've written these songs faster than I've ever written songs before. They all came out. I'd say 80% of them came out. In the last year. There's definitely some older ones. There's a couple I have that hook back there. I'll bring that up and rework it, make it new. A lot of that going on. But
I think Durry holds onto his songs for a long time. So he'll have these ideas of licks and parts and lyrics that he wants, and it doesn't become a song until way later in the process. So we start building the ideas and the sound that we're going for early on, the style. At least from my perspective of the writing process, it's very much what are we going for, and those songs kind of evolve over time until we have some. And these last, the new album that we're writing right now, those songs have just really all come together all at the same time. It's been really cool to whoosh, all of a sudden we have 12 songs or whatever it is that we're going for.
We have 18 songs right now. We gotta whittle it down.
I was going for once we whittle it down, maybe it'll be about 12. Hopefully not 18.
No.
double LP.
Yes.
So are all the songs written, or are you guys still working on stuff? Or?
I keep telling myself there, and then I write a new one.
Yeah.
Well, it's so I think so. There's still a couple pieces missing in the narrative.
Okay.
So where we're at now is we have all these songs. We haven't really strung them together yet.
Okay.
We'll probably string them together, and then I'll be oh, we need this here. I need to make something new, and then fill in the gaps a little bit.
We've also had a lot more chance this time around because we're all in this together. We're able to break down each individual song, tear it back to its bare bones, and say what do we want from this song specifically. I think Bone Crown, when we were writing it, we were that's a cool song, that's a cool song. We already had this sound developed and what we were going for. This one is way more creative in our practice.
Okay.
So as we learn the songs, we're tearing them apart and rebuilding them almost every time.
Yeah, and Bone Crown was most of the band was hearing the songs for the first time when they came to the studio to record them. There was really very little pre-production, very little. We were really flying the seat of our pants on that one. And the ideas were already there. More songs were written, but it wasn't very collaborative. And this next one is extremely collaborative. We have tons of demos, and we're sending them out and getting ideas and feedback and that kind of thing. So this next one's definitely going to be, I feel much more influentially balanced. You know what I mean?
Have you guys started working the new songs into your set live, or do you guys like to hold on until everything feels?
So we are in the middle of this 3-part event.
Okay, because I know you guys did a show for Devil Weeds.
Yep.
And
then that was Devil Weeds and Thaumaturg was the first show. The second show was supposed to be our Bone Crown show, and then the whole Murder by Death thing happened.
Yeah.
We're doing that one in December now.
Okay.
And then the next one is November 24th, Turf Club, and that's when we're going to be just dumping all this new stuff in. And
Okay.
So we have we've been playing Femme Fatale for like a year.
Okay.
But we have all these other songs that we've been working on. And so that set is going to be like half or more like brand new songs. It's going to be so much fun. That show's going to be awesome.
I was going to ask you next about the Turf Club show because it almost feels like the way you describe it is a audition process for the First Ave sphere.
bit, yeah.
So kind of tell me about that.
So we after last trip we connected with this booking guy, Alec, and he has handled a couple things for us. And so he got kind of the First Ave, and they were like, we kind of want to see what you can do, and what you can draw, So they gave us the Turf Club gig, which is a super awesome bill, and it's kind of like the way our booking guy described it at least was like, if we can like knock this out of the park and sell it out and stuff like that, then we can kind of be in the bigger pond, I guess. So that's kind of where we're trying to be in the Minneapolis scene.
Gotcha.
Kind of move up the ranks. We're kind
Yeah.
of So the Turf Club is definitely a very important show for us, and I think it's going to be like for the fan experience. I think it's going to be really important too because we're introducing the whole new everything. So
Who's the bill for the Turf Club show? Do you guys know yet, or is that?
It's us and I think Gully Boys.
Okay.
I'm like pretty sure they're confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's gonna be sweet.
It's gonna be a fun show. It's gonna be like.
And then, is there anything else that I haven't asked you about, but I should know about? Anything you want to plug? Anything?
I guess just the show is so important.
Yeah.
Getting everybody there. I don't know. We haven't exactly figured out all of our marketing tactics yet, but we're gonna have cool stuff there. We're gonna have something free. I don't know.
For me, I think the most important thing for us at this point is continuing our Patreon work, and we're hoping to do a music video for our single when we release it.
Okay.
That's like in the very beginning of the works. So it's gonna be.
You don't have a release date for the single yet? I mean, it's super early to ask since you just recorded it.
We kind of wanted to get really ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And like start recording the album, and then like when it's like close to done, let's kind of hit the single.
Yeah.
And so it'll be spring, summer next.
But for me, I'm excited about doing some visual work again. Like our music videos, I want that to be a part of our next album.
We've never had the funds to do visuals properly, and now we have a little bit, so we're like really gonna hit it hard.
So I'm tying those in. So like Patreon gives us the funds so we can make better content,
Exactly.
so people can watch and see this, what we're really going for with the money that we get from it. So.
That's one thing that's been really cool about Patreon is really including all the fans in this, and like having people see directly like, because you're supporting us, like we can do these things, and then like you are making this successful. And I think people have connected with that a little bit. It's been really cool to just make it an inclusive like group thing. You know what I mean? And not just like we're the band, big fans, sit back and watch. It's more like hey, let's all do this cool thing together.
Yeah. One thing I did forget to ask: how have you guys always embraced crowdfunding type stuff as a band, or did you guys have to like shift into more of accept crowdfunding?
We've definitely never been able to pay for something ourselves. So
Fair.
I mean, every release we've done has been Kickstarted, and they've been really successful, and people seem to really enjoy being a part of it, and all the things we can do because of it. And so we kind of felt like Patreon was just kind of the next step of like, okay, now we are the project. Like, help us live.
Yeah.
For me it was really difficult at the beginning to be like, we're just asking people to like pay us for this, and so it was really important for me as the artist early on to be like, okay, so what we give them in response has to be like excellent. It has to be fully inclusive to what they were looking for. It's got to have like fun aspects. They get little figurines, or they get this really cool artwork, story with it. So that's what makes it valuable for me. Is if you're going to support, it's not just like, oh, that allowed us to do this, thanks. It's like, all right, now you are someone that's like working on this with us.
Yeah. And that's one thing too, is that like with Kickstarter and stuff, it's like the more support we get, the more cool stuff we can do. You know, so it's kind of like what we do and how good it is kind of determined by how much people support and stuff like that. So,
and you guys have really worked to do like with the Patreon, like the pins and the cards. That tarot card thing was a really cool idea.
Yeah, those have been super fun. I wanted to have something like collectible, and then something that's only for pack members.
Yeah.
And I kind of I wanted there to be something you're building, like a portfolio you're building, to be like, this is how much I've supported this band, and you know, and you can have the full collection of cards, and then with that, then there's the Marah anthology, which is all the same characters that are the cards, and so you can have somewhat of a visualization of what's happening in the story through the story of the cards and everything like that. And it's been really cool just to have that. And it's a fun game to kind of play at shows. Yeah. Because people come up and they're like, "You're a pack member," I remember you, or see your pin or whatever. And then it's like, you get to play this little gambling game where you draw cards.
Yeah.
You get, and everyone wants whatever. Everyone wants the win to get whatever. And then you draw, and maybe you get it. Maybe you don't.
Tickets are still available for their November 24th show at the Turf Club. If you're interested in going, you can head to the Turf Club website, turfclub.net, in order to buy tickets. You can find Ear Coffee on most social media, Facebook at facebook.com/earcoffee, Twitter at earcoffee, and Instagram at earcoffee. If you like this episode, make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, as well as share us on social media. Over the next few weeks, we'll have interviews from the Alexander Natalie Band and Twin Lakes, plus a throwback episode to the Sarah Groves interview David Kelso did at her album release show a year ago. My name is Joe Keyport, and this has been the Ear Coffee Podcast.